Welcome to Toffee TV. We're talking about Joao Pedro. He's left Everton Football Club. He was the assistant manager, if you didn't know. To be fair, I didn't really know until about 3 or 4 weeks till the end.
Was he just one of a few faces?
Well, I did actually say on one of the shows I didn't know half of the staff on Everton's bench.
But it's a good thing, though, surely, at times.
Is it though? I like to have some knowledge.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been very difficult to find. You could have just. Anyway, yeah, he's left.
He's left Everton Football Club. This video is sponsored by OneFootball. OneFootball's app makes it easier to find all the latest scores, stats, and news, like who will be Everton's next assistant manager. To download the OneFootball app, click the link in the description. So yeah, he's left the club. Where's he gone to?
Famalicão, I think is what you say, which is a top league Portuguese side, playing the Primeira division in Portugal. So he's become the manager there. So he's been with Marco for a while. He's
took the leap into management, which is fair enough. That's what a lot of assistant managers want to do. So I suppose the question will be, what's next? Who's next? Because I suppose it's hard with the manager only being in for a year. A lot of his backroom staff were quite unfamiliar to us. A lot of them would be quite unfamiliar to a lot of people in the English game, because obviously we're used to, or certainly have been in the past, having coaches and assistant managers who are easily identifiable. The only one really at the moment is Duncan Ferguson, which is probably why he gets a lot of grief off fans, because he's the only one anyone really knows. But it is difficult, isn't it? You see all these people. That's what I'm saying about not really knowing who he was, because I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what his career was. Didn't know what his credentials were. That shouldn't really matter from a fan's point of view. So from that angle, it is a little bit disappointing, isn't it, to lose that continuity amongst the coaching ranks?
Yeah, I think he's been with Marco for a number of years now. And obviously they've worked closely together. He's 6 years older than Silva, so he's got that little bit more experience, but I think the paths crossed when Silva was still playing, and they've stuck together as part of that management team for years. So that's disappointing when you've had people who've worked together and someone moves on. But it happens, doesn't it? And you know what? Maybe it's a good thing, because for Silva, on one hand, you want them just to keep with people he trusts, but on another hand, it means that you're going to get someone in. Hopefully he's going to bring someone in who challenges him. That helps your manager go up to another level as well at times. And it's something that me and you spoke about what Alex Ferguson used to do, which was refresh his assistant manager every few years. When they were successful, I know Big Yergy across the park, the brain left and he had to redo his and stuff like that. And Liverpool have gone on and won some. So sometimes, it can be a negative thing because you lose the continuity, but other times you get someone in who actually challenges the manager over some of the things, and I think that can help you grow as a manager. It's something I believe Roberto Martinez should have done. What do
you actually think the key role of an assistant manager is within that coaching setup?
I think it is to challenge the manager. I think if you've got someone who just agrees with everything you say, how do you ever know if it's going wrong, or how do you ever get better? If someone's just there to go, you're right, yeah, you're right. I want someone who's going to go, well, why are we doing that? Or this isn't working. Or have you thought about that player in that position? Or, right, what do we need to do to get? And I'm not saying he didn't do this, by the way, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that, sometimes a new face does do that. And I think that's one of the key elements, is that if you're doing something that isn't working, like for those 3 months in last season when it wasn't going very well, I don't know, Joao Pedro might have been challenging the manager every day, I'm not sure, but you'd like your assistant manager to be going, well, have we thought about doing this, or what about doing that? But he's also got to be a little bit of the buffer, hasn't he, between the manager and the pseudo manager, players who aren't in the team, maybe go to him and go like, why aren't I playing? If maybe they don't feel like they could say it to the manager. I know that there's those people in the staff, and it might be Duncan Ferguson at Everton, I don't know, who the players will go to and say, why aren't I getting in? Why hasn't the gaffer thought about me playing here? if they're not going to have that conversation with the manager. So I think that's what a lot of assistant managers do. I know, listening to a few players who at Manchester City, a lot of them will go to Arteta rather than Pep and things like that. So, and I'm quite sure it's like that at other clubs as well. So I think for us, what I want to see, because I don't know, you don't know too much about the inner workings of it all, is that it's a fella who's going to come in and challenge not only the players, it's going to challenge the manager, and it also freshens things up. I know they've only been here a year, so it's not like things are going stale, but I think it's always good to have a fresh pair of eyes as well, maybe on how Marco's doing things, and maybe gives him just a few extra pointers that ups his game as well.
It is an interesting one, because it's hard always to put your finger on what they do. When you actually break down the actual title, the assistant manager is a very key role, and you're right there about the buffer between the players and the manager. I suppose it depends what the manager is. Marco Silva seems like a very hands-on manager. Always see him going up to players and putting his arm around them and shaking their hands and all that. You see Pep Guardiola, it's funny because you mentioned them there, going over to players. We've seen them talking to Sterling after the FA Cup final, and continue to coach. So it is a weird. It can be a weird one, and also I suppose it doesn't really, matter too much about the background of the assistant, because you mentioned Mikel Arteta there at Manchester City. It's someone who Pep Guardiola hadn't worked with, before. Thought it was at the right time to bring him in. Same philosophy. He's probably would have crossed for Spain and stuff. In Spain and stuff. Moyes went from having someone who'd been very loyal to him, had come from Preston with him to Everton, to going to Steve Round, who's someone who just happened to know was a very good coach and would be probably a good sounding board. So I suppose they don't always have to have that relationship, and that'll be the next thing for us, won't it? It'll be the next thing, bringing someone in who it looks like will be someone that the manager just thinks is good at that job, rather than someone that he can trust. Because the other thing about Pep Guardiola is, staying on that theme, is we've seen in the documentary that although he's got Arteta as his assistant manager, he also employs somebody to be that person who is prepared to have other opinions or tell him when he's wrong.
Yeah.
And that, I suppose, that's sometimes where you get that. Some clubs in the last few years have looked at having an assistant manager. I remember when Arsene Wenger went in and they had Pat Rice as their assistant, someone who knew the club, someone being around the club, and knew the values of it, knew the old school Arsenal. Arsenal was the new Arsenal, and I suppose there's that temptation, isn't it, to do that as well. A lot of fans are asking, could the likes of Unsworth, the likes of Duncan Ferguson, even Tim Cahill, could he be the assistant manager? But you want, for me, if you were going to do that, I'd want someone more senior in that role, someone who actually had been in and around football a little bit longer. If I was going to go that route, I mean, you know what I mean, in terms of, like, if you're going to have someone who's got, I'd want them to have the experience, not just someone who you say, they only know the club, so bring them in as assistant manager. I want someone who actually knows how to do the job. So it's more than
it's a specialist job, like you said before. But I think someone like Cahill ideally would be good, because he's not that far out, not that long out of playing as well, and sometimes that helps. But he's not done it before, so he's not likely to be considered by Marco Silva. I think I'd love Tim Cahill at Everton Football Club 100%, but I'd want him coming in and coaching with the 18s and things like that first, and getting a real grip of coaching, and because I know he's just been doing badges as well, hasn't he?
Wales, hasn't he?
He's done that, and we know that Marcel Brands, I mean, Wayne Rooney was speaking last week about, I know he mentioned United as well, but he was quite heavily focused on Everton, and it was something Marcel Brands had said, and I know some fans reacted negatively to it and don't want him back and all that, but I don't see out any way why you wouldn't want Wayne Rooney back at Everton Football Club coaching kids. Okay, ideally some of his choices aren't great, but in terms of football and what he's won and what he's done, he's incredible.
What he can offer.
Exactly, and I want that running through the club, which is the reason why I want Cahill there as well. For different reasons, but at the moment Tim Cahill's not ready to be Everton's assistant manager. David Unsworth, I think he's doing a specific job, and I think the manager ultimately wants to choose someone who we said from day one it'd be someone who was Portuguese.
Yeah, I mean, all the talk is Lewis Boa Morte, who, funny enough, we've had a few run-ins with him in the past, which will be interesting if he got the job. But I think, you know, we said, didn't we, Portuguese would be the first thing, because you want someone, you know, the manager wants to convert. He want to converse in his own language. You want to get points across in his own language. We've seen him talking in press conferences and stuff, and listen, he speaks English fluently, but that doesn't always mean that you can get over succinctly what you want to say. I mean, sometimes I struggle getting over what I want to say in English, but, you know, in your own native tongue, you can have those conversations. It also helps to keep things private from other people as well, if you're speaking if people don't understand. But I think that number one is I'm not saying that's the number one thing, but that's a box ticking thing that he would want. And number two, listen, Boa Morte seems to have been quietly going about doing his coaching, getting his coaching experience, getting his badges. I think he worked with him at one of the
Sporting Lisbon. He was the under-19 coach while Silva was the manager, so he's been doing, got to know him there. He's
been doing under-19s, he's been doing under-23s, things like that.
He coached Sirenties, I think they were called, and he's now the assistant manager at Maccabi Haifa as well. So he's got experience, and particularly doing the assistant manager job, so he ticks those boxes. He's 41 as well, I think, so he's a good age, same age as the manager. And Boa Morte as a player was a little bit of a niggly bastard.
He was.
You know, he had an edge to him.
Wasn't very nice. Very nice.
Well, he had an edge to him, and he wanted to win. And they're qualities that I think you need. And I think, I look at him, he's a fiery character. I know he had a run in with Duncan, and so that'd be interesting. But listen, the 6, 7, 8 years past that, and they're both coaching, so it is what it is. It's a chance for him, if he comes in, and it looks likely that he will, that he'll get to know Duncan personally, rather than crossing paths on a football pitch. So I want someone who demands the players to have a bit more fight about them. Our players showed that when the crowd were with them the last 10 weeks. They were brilliant, albeit with the exception of Fulham and possibly Newcastle for the last half an hour. In general, if you've got someone who's testing them as well, you've got the manager putting his instructions, and you've got someone who's challenging them, I think it can be a good partnership.
I know we mentioned having a more senior man sometimes, but do you think having someone who's around the same ages as the manager, their energy levels will match, so that you know, if Marco Silva's working all the hours and he wants the assistant manager to do that as well, you can do that, and you have the same, and also you're coming from around the same, obviously the same generation of football philosophy as well. So because obviously he's going to have to look at Boa Morte and he's going to go, well, what style do you want? What style are you used to playing? What are you used to getting out of your players? What do you coach? You know, if they're the same philosophies as what the manager wants, then obviously those things have got to fit into place.
It wouldn't be so far down the line as what it is if they weren't, would it? He's not going to go to... Boa Morte plays direct football, knocking it into the channels. He's not going to go after him, is he? He's going to go for someone who does the same thing. The thing as well with Lewis Boa Morte is that the what goes on in football now, he's not out of touch with. He's a few years out the game, but he's working and coaching every day. So it's not like bringing in Joe Royle, say for argument's sake, who's a fantastic Everton man and a fantastic knowledge of football. Yeah. But what was going on when he was a manager isn't necessarily going on now, or it's very different. So having someone who's the same age as the manager, I think you've just made a great point. The energy levels as well, it's intense, the Premier League. You're seeing some managers this year look like they've been dragged through the mill. Yeah. You know what I mean? Pochettino, when they won the semi-final, looked like he was about to have a nervous breakdown. You know, when he just... Because that's how much and emotion it, the other soft shades across the park. Looks like his head's about to explode half the time because it's that demanding. So you need people with that energy and that enabled to take on those demands as well. And, you know, where Everton are trying to improve, this manager knows it's a big season this season because our owner has put money in, he'll put money in again. And he expects results. And you need someone who's going to come in and drive those players to results as well. And we won't know whether it'll work until they've worked together, but if the manager's identified him, and he's got all of those attributes as well going on, then you can only think that it'd be a good fit.
Yeah, and it is. It's although it's only been a year, it's something fresh. Didn't one of the things obviously under Howard Kendall was Howard Kendall brought in Colin Harvey, wasn't it? But he wasn't his original number 2, was he?
No, he promoted Colin, didn't he? Because he just had Mick Eaton was there, and he was in and around, and Colin came up from he promoted him from the reserve team and youth reserve team and put him in, and then the club went to the next. I mean, Derek Manfield, who's been in, friend of the show, he's been in quite a few times, says it was from when Colin was promoted. Peter Deed told us, Andy Gray, the same thing. When Colin was promoted, everything went up another level. Wasn't a Howard, wasn't a fantastic manager, but your assistant manager put things across and was the buffer again and different things. And sometimes it's that energy. And don't forget, these players now Boa Morte will be meeting all these players for the first time and having a look at them in training. What can he do? There might be someone who Marco goes, I think he might look at him and go, yeah, but has he got that desire, or vice versa? Silva might be looking past someone and go, nah, I'm not really sure about Kieran Dowell, for argument's sake, and Boa Morte might be like, well, what about, have you thought of doing this? Or you don't know, because you don't know what them workings are like, but all you can trust in is that we continue the work we've done. It's obviously a blow losing someone who's in the club and the players are used to now. But in some respects, you have to look at it the other side and go, well, all right, well, it means that the players will have to impress this new fella as well. As, you know, the likes of Sigurdsson again, who's had a great season, or a very good season, got to impress Boa Morte again, you know. But the advantage there is Richarlison speaks Portuguese, and Bernard and Gomez, hopefully, and then so Boa Morte can talk to that. So there's all the little key elements as well that go in with it, but you know, ultimately the proof will be in the pudding, won't it? But if the manager has identified him, Marcel Brands will have to, you know, will be like, well, if you're happy with him and he meets this and he meets that, you know, we'll meet him and have a chat with him. And if their philosophy's all going the right direction, then I expect Boa Morte will probably become the number 2. And it's a great opportunity for him to get back into the Premier League, isn't it? With his first job in coaching side at a Premier League club, and hopefully the transition will be smooth. And you know, the manager's still the number 1 person
that's
there.
It, isn't it? It's only one. It's
just a part, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an appointment within the coaching staff. So, as you just mentioned, as long as it's a smooth transition, you know, one comes in, one goes out, and everything else stays the same.
Who's to say Boa Morte doesn't come in and is got the same work ethic as the manager? You know, I'm not saying Joao Pedro, because quite clearly he did, because he's gone to be a manager. So who's to say Boa Morte isn't the one driving Silva on now and going, well, we want to do, you know, get a bit more out of it. We just don't know, do we? But we'll only know as the season goes on. But you know, hopefully they'll make the right decision. They've tended to do things correctly since they come in, and like I say, the appointment won't be made if Marcel Brands doesn't give it the backing.
It's just hard to know, isn't it? It's hard to know with these things. We don't know with the manager only being here for a year, and these people just seem to be faces in the background at the time rather than being big personalities, which is what a lot of these people seem to be now in the background. You don't really seem to get, you know, we grew up in an era of, you know, knowing, you know, the Brian Cloughs and the Peter Taylors and people fitting together and doing different jobs now with a lot of things going on off the field now in terms of directors of football. They are all left to just get on with. So maybe the assistant manager's role is almost, I don't know, maybe it's taken a lot of those duties, because you know Ferguson used to just be upstairs half the time and let the coach, and that's why he used to go and get a boss number 2. You know, that's why he used to change them all the time. Number 2 used to do all the training, and he'd delegate and make sure he had his finger in all the pies at the club. Well, that doesn't have to happen anymore, because certainly for us, Marcel Brands is taking care of a lot of the transfer stuff. The manager's taking care of the team, and obviously his assistants and his coaches are taking care of preparing the football team. So from that point of view, you just hope that they make the right decision and bring the right man in.
That's all you can do.
We'll wait and see what happens.
The thing with Boa Morte is very experienced in the Premier League as well, Arsenal, obviously Fulham. So
he ticks all the boxes. You know, young up and coming coach. He's got experience. Speaks Portuguese. Well, is Portuguese. Speaks obviously fluent English as well. Been around the Premier League.
Coached in Europe.
Yeah. So we'll wait and see what happens. Obviously, it's happening at the right time as well.
Yeah.
You know, so he can get all his preparation for the pre-season and all that with that. So shouldn't be hopefully too much of an issue bringing him in and that's, you know.
Listen, they'll all be in, but they're back in 4 weeks, aren't they? So we'll be in place and ready for Kenya and other pre-season games, which will be announced very soon.
Very, very soon. There you go. Let us know your thoughts on Joao Pedro leaving the club, the possibility of Boa Morte coming in. We're excited to that one. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Please give this video a like if you like it. If you like it, give it a like.
Well, even if you just think it's all right, give it a like. Why not?
It does help. It really does help. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want more great videos, join us over on Patreon. You will not be disappointed. Live videos all through the summer, like every day basically, except for Fridays. Don't do them on Friday. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.